This is what distinguishes you in the market from the competition so that you are one of one, the only one, as Beyonce would say. So you need to think for yourself, what do you want to be known for? So when I tell stories about my clients, my current clients, I will include some of the qualities about them that I want to attract in my future clients. And so I'm synonymous with the thing that I do, and I don't even have to be there in order for me to be marketing, because are now marketing on my behalf. One of the big mistakes that a lot of people make when it comes to trying to talk about what they do is they will clutter that message with way too many things. Don't speak to that brick. Don't speak to that person who's already stuck. You want to speak to somebody who's already rolling and moving forward. So step into their shoes and really look to see, does my message really reflect the way they would talk about what it is that they want versus the way that I'm thinking about it. Help yourself attract more of the high quality leads that you're looking for and ensure that Hello everyone. So today we're going to be talking about how to attract high quality leads. This one is going to be so good. I'm going to be giving you really clear things that you want to build into your marketing strategy to help you to attract high quality leads, because this is the biggest thing, is that people will tell me, I have an offer, it sells, usually they're getting great referrals, but when it comes to their proactive marketing, when they're going out there and they're trying to market via social media or Facebook or whatever, webinars, those kinds of things, people will say to me, when I'm going and doing that kind of proactive marketing, the people that I get in, they're not the right kind of people. So if you've had that experience where, when you get referrals, when you're able to talk to people more closely, what they'll say is, when I get those referrals, those people are great, I can close them, but a lot of the new people that come into my world, they're not the right fit. So I want to talk about how do you help yourself attract more of the high quality leads that you're looking for, and ensure that you filter out the people that are not the right kind of people, so that when you actually get on the phone with people, when you actually get into sales conversations, you're talking to the right kind of people. If that's going to be helpful for you, so I'm going to work through 5 key things that have been really important for me and that I teach clients in order for you to attract high quality leads. The first thing really, really key and important in your ability to attract the right kind of people is your positioning. And I want to explain what that is, because it's a word that you may hear me use a lot, and sometimes people don't recognize what that means. So what is positioning? Positioning is really about your place in the market. So that is you in comparison to all your competition, in comparison to all the other solutions that are out there. What is it that is your place in the market? How do people view you? What do they think of you? What do they say about you? This is really your ability to distinguish yourself from other people and other solutions. So that is your positioning. And the key thing in being able to attract high quality leads is that they have to be able to distinguish why you are the solution as opposed to other options that are out there for them. And so what often happens is that people will not have a very unique positioning in the market, and so they become more of the same in the eyes of their potential clients. And so the people who are really more high quality are going to have a more discerning taste. They're going to really be looking for something specific. And so if they come across your marketing and your marketing doesn't have that specificity, they'll be much more likely to pass you by and look for somebody who's being much more specific in their positioning. And people who may be more less discerning, maybe not as particular about the positioning, those tend to be somebody who's lower quality, or maybe more of a newbie. They're not really sure what they're looking for, and so they'll just gravitate to whoever might be saying something that sounds good. And so that's often what happens, is you end up with people who are newer. Maybe they don't have as much to invest. It's much harder for you to convert those people into higher end premium packages because they're not quite sure what they're looking for, and so they're not as invested in investing in a great solution, versus somebody somebody like, I'm ready to invest at a high level, they're going to be very particular. I brought on a client recently and she was like, she knew she was ready to invest. She'd been looking at multiple solutions and determining what she wanted. And so it was me being able to have a really clear positioning in the market that made her more attracted to what I was offering versus something else that she was comparing it to. So your positioning has to be really clear. It's one of the core things that we talk about there is how do you distinguish yourself in the market? How do you have a core framework that is something that people will know you for so that they know what is it that I get when I come to work with you? So that's one of the really, really important things is what is your positioning? How do you distinguish yourself from the other people that are around you in your marketplace? Do you really understand what makes you unique and different? If you don't understand, then that's something that you really want to work on is understanding what makes you unique in the marketplace so you can position yourself away from the competition so people want to come to you for your stuff. That's like one of the key things that I tell when I was doing social media audits with my clients a couple weeks ago. We were looking at their profiles, and that was a core thing was like, as soon as somebody lands on your page, we want to make sure that your positioning is front and center. When somebody sees your profile, they're going to be comparing it to all the other profiles that they see all the time. And so if they look at your profile and it sounds like a little bit of a repetition of what everyone else is saying, they're like, all right, I already know, I know what you do. I know what this is like. I don't really need to dig any deeper. But if you have unique positioning, then they're actually going to be intrigued by that. And now they want to know more about you and about what you do. So that's why positioning is so, so important because that really is like a hook that attracts people and keeps them intrigued and will allow you to then deliver your message and move them further along in the buying process. So that's why positioning is so, so important. All right. The second thing that is really important for attracting high quality leads is that you need to be communicating one core message. One core message. One of the big mistakes that a lot of people make when it comes to trying to talk about what they do is they will clutter that message with way too many things. They'll be talking about all the things that they and over here and over here and over here. And yes, there are lots of ways that you help people. But the thing is that we have to remember how buying psychology works and how human psychology works in general. And I will explain this to you really simply. Well, whenever we're presented with information, our brain is doing its best job to try to compute that information and kind of package and figure out a way for you to like, okay, what do I do with this information? So when you present somebody with a whole lot of information, the brain has to do more work now to try to decipher what's happening here. So the more work that the brain has to do, the more energy and effort that it's putting in, the more likely it's for the brain to be like, okay, do we really need to process all of this? Because this is going to take a lot of energy. So this is this thing that's happening when somebody's reading your messaging. If their brain is like, ooh, this is taking a lot of work, a lot of energy. Is this really worth it? And then they'll like, nope, it's not worth it. And so people check out and then they're gone. Versus if they read your content and it's like really easy for somebody to understand the core message of what's being communicated here. It's like the brain puts two and two together, like, oh, okay, I know what's happening here and I'm able to receive this and I can compartmentalize and put this where it needs to go. So the thing that's really key is that your messaging has to have a clear and distinct message everywhere that you're showing up, whether this is social media, if this is on your website, this is in a podcast, you're doing a masterclass, wherever it is, one core message. So for me, my one core message is I help clients to attract high quality leads with consistency and ease. So that is the one thing that I would repeat and over again throughout my messaging. So whether I'm saying that explicitly or it's just the message that you receive as a result of consuming my stuff over and over again, it's high quality leads with ease and consistency. That's what I want people to associate me with. That's what I want them to receive and over again. So you need to think for yourself, what do you want to be known for? What is it that you want people to absolutely understand about you and your offering? And that is the thing that they will distinguish you, that would distinguish you away from everyone else, and that it would be the message they receive consistently. And that messaging, if you haven't figured that out, that's a great place for you to start going through that process to figure out what is that one core message that people need to walk away from me with every single time they have an interaction with me. And through that repetition, that is what leads somebody to ultimately desiring to work with you, to hire you, for them to, even if they don't hire you, become a champion for your message. Because a lot of times I have people who are my customers and clients, but they come to know me and then they're in rooms where I'm not, and they're like, oh, you need somebody to do X, Y, and Z, you should go talk to Natasha. And I have that happen so frequently, and it's amazing because I now have this clear association that people have with me and my message, me and what I do. And so I'm synonymous with the thing that I do, and I don't even have to be there in order for me to be marketing, because are now marketing on my behalf. So that is why having one core message is so important, because that becomes your calling card. But the next thing that's very important for you to attract high quality leads is that you need to speak to their desire and not focus on the features and the benefits. So what often I will see people do is they'll be talking about all the ways that their thing can help somebody. So I had a client, and she was working in the area of customer experience, customer service, and retention of clients. And so we were talking about what her current content looked like. And she was talking a lot about how this will help your customers experience this, and this will help your clients to experience that. And they'll be having this much better experience, and they'll love your stuff, etc. So she's talking about the features and the benefits of working with her, but she wasn't really focused on desire. So as the business owner, as the person who is actually running this business, yes, I do want my clients to have a better experience, but what is my true desire? What's really motivating me to make a decision to invest? And that was really about retention for them. Retention was the core message that she needed to speak to, because that's their main desire. Their main desire is retention, and that retention in their program will allow them to have more money in their business so that they can be able to grow, they can scale further, and they can continue to build the program, but also that they can feel good about themselves, because a lot of times people would be losing clients and think that meant something about them, like my stuff isn't good, I'm not good, etc. Instead of speaking to, this will make your clients so happy, this is so amazing, look at the things that we can do, we really needed to change that message to retention. Retain your clients, and that will allow you to grow further. And also, you are amazing at what you do, and it's important for you to retain those clients so that you know that what your program is amazing and that it works. And so that was the message that we switched to, was more so about the desire, because that was the core desire of her target audience. It wasn't so much about the features and the benefits. So I want you to take a look at your own messaging and see, are you speaking to the core desire? Are you talking about what the person really wants from their perspective? Always your messaging has to come from the perspective of the person who's receiving it. So step into their shoes and really look to see, does my message really reflect the way they would talk about what it is that they want versus the way that I'm thinking about it? Because if you're just speaking at it from your perspective, you're going to lose a lot of people, and you're not going to attract the high quality leads that you desire. All right. Next is the really important thing is, when you're trying to attract a certain kind of person, you need to explain who it is that you're looking for. Who are you speaking to? So when you're writing your content, make sure it's really explicit who this is for. If you are talking to a person who is 5 years deep into business and has a team, then make it really clear that you're talking to somebody who's 5 years deep into business and has a team, so that you're not attracting people who are 1 year into business and have nobody on their team, because those are going to be people in very different places, and it's not going to bring in the right kind of person if you're not explicit. Or say you're talking to women who are in professionals and you want to attract C-suite women. Well, if you're not explicit about saying this is for women who are in the C-suite versus women who may just be in a management role, you might start to attract people who are in management roles versus people who are in the C-suite. You need to be really explicit about who it is you are trying to attract and what qualities they would have. And the qualities they have might show up in many different ways. So it might be demographic things like I just shared, of how long they've been in business, how big their team is, how much money they're making, what title they have. Those might be things that you'd want. Explain with really clear idea of what kind of qualities from a demographic perspective, but also it can be about their psychographics of what kind of person they are. Somebody who is has a certain mindset around execution, or has a certain mindset around being willing to take coaching. Those kinds of things are also really important. And there's multiple ways that you can fold this in. It doesn't always have to just be like a checklist of, are you all of these things? But you can also subliminally bake this into how you talk. So when I tell stories about my clients, my current clients, I will include some of the qualities about them that I want to attract in my future clients. And so I talk about them being somebody who goes all in. Also the name of my company, The All In Woman. Somebody who goes all in. Somebody who is doing the work already, but maybe not achieving the kind of results that they desire. Somebody who is willing to do uncomfortable things, and somebody who is wants to be creative, or they desire more freedom in their life. And so they're trying to find a solution that will enable them to build their business while being able to go out and do things that they really enjoy. So I'm saying these kinds of things in my content to speak to the right kind of person, so that the person who sees this sees themselves reflected in that content, and they're like, I want that, or I am that. And so now I know that Natasha would be a kind of person that would be aligned for me to work with. So that's a really key thing, is that as you're painting the picture of what it is that you do, make sure you call out specifically to the person that you're trying to attract. Call out to them specifically so that they know that this is for them. And you want to do this regularly. So don't just make this a once or twice every so often kind of thing. This should be a regular part of the way that you create content. Regularly a part of the way that you market is by calling out explicitly to the kind of person that you're trying to attract. All right. The fifth and final thing that you want to do in order to attract more high quality leads is that you want to remove any low quality language from your marketing. So I'll explain what that means. So low quality language really speaks to the wrong kind of person, or the wrong kind of mindset from the people that you are speaking to. So things like words that are things like, oh, you've been struggling, or you are ready to give up. You are using words like a lot of, I guess I say struggle language. Like if you're always talking about people struggling, people trying things, people having a hard time, that can attract people who are stuck in that experience. So versus talking to somebody and saying, you're trying this and you're receiving this kind of outcome, or you've had this particular kind of challenge. So when I talk about something and say, you're creating money in your business, but you're coming up against an income ceiling, that's one way to talk about it, is say if you're creating some money in your business, but you're coming up against an income ceiling. Or you could say you're out there marketing, but you are not getting the kinds of clients that you desire. So me saying that is speaking to a person who is doing something. They're marketing, but they're not getting the kind of clients they desire. Or they're making money, but they're not making the kind of money that they want. Versus if I was saying something like, you're struggling in your business and you can't get any clients. Now that is going to speak to a very specific kind of person who is struggling, like they are struggling in their business, like they actually feel like that it's a struggle, and they're literally not getting any clients. So I'm very much now speaking to a person who is probably not going to have a lot of mental energy or financial resources to be able to move forward. Like mentally, they're having a really difficult time. So it's going to be hard for them to get into a program and take my strategic advice or coaching in order for them to implement. And they're also probably going to have a tough time investing, because if they have no clients and they're not bringing people on, they're not going to have the resources. So that's a very different way of speaking. And I'll use a different niche as well. So away from the world of business. So say you were talking to, if you're in the health and fitness realm and you're talking to somebody, you could say something like, you have tried multiple exercise regimens, but you haven't found one that you can stick with consistently. Or you can say you are trying to create room in your schedule, or you've created room in your schedule and you're going to the gym, but you're still not seeing the kind of results that you want. So this person is going to the gym, but they're still not seeing the kind of results that they want, or they're trying to create more They're trying to do something, but they're just not quite there yet. So now I'm really speaking to a person who's already in action. They already have some inertia. They already have some of that momentum that's moving them forward. So I'm not trying to get the ball rolling for them. I'm not trying to push somebody who's at a rested state. When you're speaking to those bricks, those people that are just stuck, they're completely like struggling, and there's not a lot of forward momentum and forward movement, it can be really hard to move that person for multiple reasons. It can be hard to move them because they are mentally challenged. It can be hard to move them because they have financial resource issues. They might have time resource issues. So if you're somebody for a health and fitness and somebody is already believing that they don't have time, you'd have to overcome that entire objection. Versus if somebody's like, hey, I'm doing it, I'm moving myself, but I'm not quite seeing the results, you can come in and say, hey, I have a solution to that problem. You're trying, let me add something in that will make that possible and make it easier for you. So this is a really important thing, is if you're trying to attract more high quality people, don't speak to that brick. Don't speak to that person who's already stuck. You want to speak to somebody who's already rolling and moving forward. I had an old mentor who used to call them bricks and balls. And if you just, like she was sick, if you had a ball and you would just flick that ball, it would start rolling forward, and you could just give it a little bit of a push and it would start rolling and moving. Versus a brick, it's going to take a whole lot of energy to get that person to move. And so if you can speak to a person who's already in forward movement, already moving towards the thing that they desire, it's going to be much easier to get them a solution. It's also going to be easier to get them to convert into being a client because they're already a problem solver. We don't want people who are not currently problem solvers. Those tend to be the lower quality leads or lower quality clients that are much harder to work with. Versus somebody who's already a problem solver, they're already out there trying things. It's going to be much easier for you to help them. And a bonus, another thing that's easier is that they're easier to find. People who are already searching for a solution are much easier to find because you can know exactly where to go to look for them. So those are the 5 key things that are really helpful when it comes to attracting high quality leads. And I'll just recap those one more time for you guys. The first thing is unique positioning. Positioning is really key. This is what distinguishes you in the market from the competition so that you are one of one, the only one, as Beyonce would say. Number 2, you need to have one core message. There is something that you should be known for away from anyone else. When people talk about you, your name should be synonymous with this thing. So make sure that you have a core message that you are focused on. No matter what interaction somebody has with you, that is always the thing that they leave walking away knowing. Number 3 is speak about desire. Speak to the thing that your ideal client really truly wants from their perspective. So stand in their shoes and understand what is the most important thing to them. Not necessarily the features and the benefits of your offer, not necessarily those kinds of side effect things, but the thing that really the problem that they want solved or the desire that they want fulfilled. Next, explain who this is for. So call out to your people in your marketing. Make sure that you're really explicit about who it is that you are making and creating this solution for. Call out to them consistently and frequently so that they know, hey, this is for you. This is the kind of person from a demographic standpoint, from a psychographic standpoint, who it is that you are best suited to help. And then you obviously tell them how you help them. And then finally, you want to remove any low quality language from your marketing. So anything that speaks to the struggle or speaks to somebody who is in a stuck state. We don't want people who are stuck because that's going to contribute to more stuckness. It's going to be much harder to move that person forward. We want to speak to people who already have that forward momentum. We want to speak to people that are already problem solvers. And by speaking to somebody who's already moving, it's going to be much, much easier to, 1, convert them into a client, and 2, move that client towards results because they're already moving in the right direction. All right. I hope that was helpful. Let me know from those 5 which one stood out to you. What was a maybe something new that you took away from today's video, and how are you going to implement that? Number 1 thing, how are you going to implement that and make that a part of how you market moving forward? Let me know in the comments. All right.